A vagrant eating raw meat coughs up blood and collapses into the river, his blood flowing downstream into the city. In one night, an unidentified virus appears in Moscow. Infected people go insane, pupils turn white, transforming into bloodthirsty monsters. But government covered it up, deceiving people by claiming it was common flu, while disaster was to unfold. On ordinary day, Anna wakes from nightmare. Her husband Sergei, seeing her so frightened, tries to comfort her. The phone rings. Sergei reads a message, then heads to the park to play with his young son, Anton. His mother-in-law said his ex-wife wasn't home, so she arranged for father and son to meet. While they played, his ex-wife Irina suddenly showed up, accusing Sergei of violating their divorce agreement. He wasn't allowed to see their son without her consent. Hearing this, Sergei didn't know. He could only stand there as Irina berated and insulted, calling him a jerk. Something happened. A passerby collapsed, coughing hard. Everyone rushed over, and the kind-hearted mother-in-law performed CPR on the man. But no one noticed the man's eyes had turned pale, as if he had contracted a disease. Interrupted by this incident, Irina took her son. Meanwhile, returning home, Sergei watched the news and called Anna to watch. The TV was reporting on an unidentified virus spreading in Moscow. The host invited an expert to explain more about this virus. The expert was to reassure the public, but the virologist revealed a terrifying truth about the virus. It spreads extremely quickly, and those infected have violent coughing fits. Though it resembles pneumonia, symptoms are more severe. The eyes of those infected will change, and they will even cough up blood, dying within 3 to 4 days. Seeing the expert speak bravely, the host quickly interrupted, saying there are few cases in Moscow and people shouldn't worry. But the expert objected, saying according to latest data, there are 2,000 infections, and the government should not hide this from the people. Before the expert could finish speaking, the program ended. It seems the situation isn't as simple as it appears. At the same time, the entire city was under strict surveillance. The military was monitoring the entrances and exits of the city. Irina still knew nothing. She was still at work. She noticed colleagues already wearing masks. In the restroom, she heard coughing, opening the door, found the person dead. Worried her son might be in danger, Irina hurriedly left work, rushed to school. Outside the school, a crowd of parents had gathered. Not long before, someone at the school was infected. A little girl with bloodshot eyes sat in a corner. After school reported, military arrived. Protective suited personnel arrived at school and ordered teachers to lock down campus. Then, the soldiers went to find the infected girl. After calming her, they disinfected her. When the girl was carried out, her body was covered in white powder. The man, seeing his daughter, rushed to check but was stopped by soldiers. He watched helplessly as his daughter was taken away. The school was locked down. Irina rushed over when she noticed wrong and called Anton's smartwatch. Fortunately, the boy answered the call. Anton was hiding in the cell. Hearing this, Irina sighed relief and told her son to get out and meet her. But when the two saw each other, Anton couldn't open the window. Anton was too weak to open the door. Irina told her son to step aside and threw a rock to break the window. Irina and her son were reunited, but they had no idea the city was out of control, not allowing anyone to enter or leave. So how are the two of them going to escape? Meanwhile, Sergei and Anna were sleeping soundly when a loud noise woke them up. Worried something happened, he carefully went downstairs to check. Seeing headlights, he quickly hid behind the wall, ready to attack. It turned out his father. Sergei breathed, brought his father inside, and introduced him to Anna. Boris because he was worried about his son. He scolded Sergei for being here. Moscow has been completely locked down. The government can no longer control the spread of the epidemic. Besides, when the outbreak happens, human nature won't be able to withstand the test. When people from the city flee, this place will be in danger sooner or later. Seeing Boris speak so seriously, Sergei had no choice but to agree to leave tomorrow. At the same time, after saving Anton and returning home, Irina didn't dare go outside, but she was worried about her mother, who had gone out in the morning and still hadn't come back. Just then, a knock at the door. When Irina opened it, she saw her mother, infected. Terrified, Irina slams the door. Her mother kept pleading for her to open the door. Irina was so scared she no longer cared about their relationship and left her mother outside. Around midnight, Sergei quietly snuck out, planning to return to Moscow to rescue Anton. He told his father that if he didn't make it back in time, he should take Anna and leave. Boris didn't stop him. The city was under lockdown and roads were blocked, Sergei used money to hire a truck driver to smuggle him in the refrigerated compartment. He got into the city. When Anna woke, she found a note Sergei left. He was going back to Moscow to save their son and not to worry. Having moved to this country, Anna prayed for Sergei's safety. A noise came from outside. Boris, watching with binoculars, saw two armed men approach their neighbor Leona's house. Boris recognized who they were and silently prayed, hoping they wouldn't come to their house. But Leona didn't think much of it and even let the two men into her house. Seeing strangers enter the house, his wife Marina became wary. Leona explained that they were just there to check if anyone was infected. But as soon as man entered, he revealed his true colors, constantly complimenting the house's design, then made it clear that Leona had no intention of checking anything. At this point, Leona sensed something was wrong and asked them to finish their inspection and leave quickly. Unfortunately, it's easy to come but hard to leave. Those two had no intention of going anywhere. Seeing the situation getting out of hand, Leona grabbed photo and claimed to know generals, hoping to use this to scare them off. Before Leona could finish speaking, one of the men knocked her out. The two men then carried the TV out. Seeing this, she checked her weapon, staying alert. But after stealing, the two didn't leave right away. They turned their attention to Marina, who was terrified. Just as they were about to make a move, a noise suddenly came from behind. One of the men collapsed in fear. It turned out to be Leona's daughter, Paulina. The remaining robber had no idea what was happening and planned to check the neighboring house. He went to Sergei's house and skillfully opened the iron door, unaware that Boris was aiming a gun at him. As soon as he stepped inside, Boris shot him. The gunshot put the person inside the car on alert, and he went to check. Anna was frightened. Her son Nisha grabbed a gun and ran outside. At the same time, the villain who had been stabbed through the chest was still not completely dead. He was strangling Paulina. Just as she was about to suffocate to death, Paulina struggled desperately, and as she fell backward, the man died before he could react. Paulina panicked. Nisha ran over with the gun. He worried about Paulina rushing in without regard for his safety. Seeing Nisha, who has autism, running over, Paulina didn't know what to do. Luckily, the danger resolved. Seeing his accomplices die horribly, the driver surrendered, went to Sergei's door to beg, and pleaded with Boris to take his friends' bodies. Seeing the party no longer a threat, Boris agreed. Everyone rushed to Lena's house to check on her. When Lena woke, she was filled with regret. She never expected people to become so vicious. If not for Boris, they'd have died. No time for fear. Boris knew the enemy wouldn't stop. They needed to quickly figure out a way to get out of there, but they had to wait for Sergei to return. At this moment, Sergei had managed to sneak into the city. He planned to tell the driver to wait for him a few minutes, but now the situation was extremely tense. The driver immediately demanded more money, and no matter how much Sergei pleaded, he wouldn't change his mind. Sergei had no choice but to hand over all his money so the driver would wait for him a few minutes. After that, he ran to Irina's house. When she saw Sergei, Irina was overjoyed, but she still had to check Sergei's eyes. After confirming he wasn't infected, she let him in. With time running out, after quickly packing their things, Sergei took them back to the truck. Animal meat scattered along the road. After Sergei left, the driver was robbed. Back to the truck, they found the driver dead. Sergei had to drive the truck past the soldiers. But things weren't as simple as he thought. When they reached the checkpoint, the soldiers stopped the truck and asked for their papers. Sergei hurriedly handed over the documents. After checking and finding nothing wrong, the soldiers began to inspect the cargo hold. They thought the soldiers would just do a cursory check, but as the soldiers opened the cargo hold and, after checking, were about to let them go, one of them happened to spot Irina hiding inside. Seeing his ex-wife and son discovered, Sergei immediately stepped on the gas and sped off. The sudden turn of events caught the soldiers off guard, leaving them no time to react. By the time they drew guns to shoot, Sergei had sped away. Meanwhile, after robbing Lena's house and returning to base, the gang was punished by their leader, who shot off a robber's finger. After that, the leader ordered to prepare for a revenge operation. Everyone, including Boris, had packed bags and could leave, but Anna refused to go, worried about Sergei. While the two argued, a car sound was heard. Fearing robbers' return, everyone hid, ready to confront them. After seeing who it was, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Sergei returned before dawn. Worried, Anna hurried over and hugged him tightly. Seeing cared, Irina was filled with jealousy and resented Sergei for abandoning her. But now was not the time to blame each other. Since Sergei was back, They had to get ready to leave. After checking the car, Lena realized it still hadn't been refueled and wouldn't be able to go far, so they sent Sergey to the warehouse, where there were 2 barrels of gasoline. When Sergey arrived, he found 2 more barrels of gasoline. To leave quickly, he didn't check, just grabbed 2, brought them to the car, and poured the fuel in. Unbeknownst to him, he'd taken summer-grade gasoline, causing their car to smoke soon after they set off. With no choice, they had to tow the car to the nearest gas station. But then Lena had a different idea. He hid the tow rope and claimed he forgot to bring it. He said he would drive back himself to get it. Telling them to stay here was an excuse to abandon them, while he planned to take family to the airport and leave the country. But he had no idea the robbers had reached the residential area, massacred everyone, and were chasing them. If they went back, it would be a death sentence. They wouldn't even make it halfway. Marina said she needed to use the restroom. Lena had no choice but to stop the car and wait. It was thanks to this that Lena's whole family was saved. Paulina was waiting in the car and saw a few vehicles up ahead. She quickly got out and told Lena that those people were the robbers hunting them. The leader had seen the photo of Lena with the car, immediately recognized the vehicle, and figured they couldn't have gotten far. So he ordered everyone to search the forest for them. Seeing this, Lena's whole family ran away, hiding down a slope. Meanwhile, the robbers arrived. Just as they were about to be discovered, one said, "We shouldn't keep searching. We're just here to steal money, not to kill." This infuriated the leader, and he beat the guy up badly. At that moment, the other members couldn't take it and shot the leader, finishing him. In the end, they went back and drove away in Lena's car. Lena's family escaped danger. Afterwards, Lena informed Sergey they found the zipper but would run into trouble. She told them to pick her up quickly. When Sergey got the news, he didn't think twice and drove straight there, but it turned out he had been tricked by Lena. She said that if she hadn't lied, Sergey wouldn't have come here. Furious but helpless, Sergey agreed to drive them only to the gas station. Everyone got in the car and headed there. Upon arrival, it was packed, gas gone, and someone kept coughing non-stop. A woman started shouting, suspecting that the person was infected. In the tense atmosphere, someone suddenly rushed in holding a knife. The crowd descended into chaos. People scattered and ran, until only Lena's family was left. After handing over cash, Lena got her family into the convenience store. They could spend the night there, but the gas station owner was no good. Seeing Paulina's beauty, he had bad intentions. He offered her a drink, wanting Paulina a glass with him. Seeing him approach, Lena realized his intentions and stood to block him. Noticing Lena's attitude, the owner dropped the act and pulled out a gun to threaten everyone. "Get out of here," he ordered. Sergey drove back. He couldn't bring to abandon. Seeing Sergey's righteousness, Lena was moved and told him, "The owner here hoards gasoline but refuses to sell." Sergey went to the front door to buy gasoline at a high price. But as the owner reached out to take the money, Sergey grabbed his hand. And Lena burst in with a gun, didn't say a word, and knocked him out. Just like that, they robbed the gas station, took the gasoline, and drove off in the owner's car. With this gasoline, they followed Boris's advice and prepared to head to an island called Vongozero. Boris said there was an abandoned boat there. He often went there for vacations. It was a suitable place to take refuge. So everyone drove to Lake Vongozero, which was 1,000 kilometers away. But halfway there, they were blocked by a fire truck. Sergey noticed that there were soldiers guarding everywhere. Battle seemed over. After confirming no danger, Sergey moved the fire truck. Pulling away, Sergey discovered surviving soldiers behind truck. While checking, a soldier suddenly sprang up and stabbed Sergey, injuring him. He passed out. The sudden incident panicked everyone. They took Sergey to a nearby village for help. Seeing their guns, the villagers allowed them to enter. After that, Irina stitched Sergey's wound to temporarily stop bleeding. Anna took food, stayed, and gave villagers some food as thanks. But after the man saw much food in the car's trunk, he thought of stealing it. By nightfall, since it was winter and Sergey was seriously injured, he developed a high fever. Without antibiotics, he risked death. While everyone was at their wits' end, Lena went outside and found a nearby veterinarian. The vet held a large syringe. Looking at the syringe in the other person's hand, Irina was worried and asked if it would be effective. The vet replied, "If I can treat a cow, treating a person is nothing." After the injection, Sergey felt better. Everyone was overjoyed, but as they let their guard down, the man suddenly appeared and approached Misha. After taking the vet back, Leona discovered the food on the truck was stolen and found Nisha motionless on the ground. Learning the food was stolen, Leona stormed into the man's house. As a result, when she barged in, she was met with a horrifying scene. She didn't expect that the entire family of the man had been infected. Their eyes were completely white, and they were eating raw meat. At that moment, the infected woman lost reason and charged at Leona. Leona pulled the trigger. A murder occurred, so everyone packed up and left. As they left, the ambulance was blocked by residents. Learning medicine in vehicle, people immediately became looters, fighting supplies. Sergei passed, witnessed tragic scene, stunning all. Irina couldn't sit, so she grabbed a gun and rushed, ready to save those. When gunshots rang out, villagers had no choice but to flee. They rescued the doctor, but the driver was beaten to death. They then drove away, but in their panic, didn't notice Anton, who was left behind as everyone scrambled to escape. By the time the boy ran back, everyone was already gone. So he had no choice but to go to a nearby village to seek help. He ended up witnessing soldiers dealing with infected people to prevent the disease from spreading. These soldiers were directly shooting people dead. At that moment, a patrol spotted Anton. Seeing soldiers approach, quickly ran into hospital and hid under bed, but was discovered. Just as he was about to be shot, doctor appeared in time and saved Anton. After knocking out the soldiers, the doctor took Anton to his home. They had barely arrived when the soldiers called up to them. The villagers hid in the basement, not daring to make a sound. Only the doctor's drunk husband lay on the bed. Soldiers came, checked, and shot him. Hearing the shot, everyone terrified. When they checked, the doctor's husband was dead. Seeing the body, villagers knew they'd meet the same fate. So they resisted, trained, and prepared to fight back. Meanwhile, everyone realized Anton was missing. Irina, worried, blamed Anna for everything, but she had no idea where the boy had gone either. Now wasn't the time to argue, they had to find the boy quickly. So they drove back, but there wasn't a soul on the bridge. Luckily, Boris spotted footprints in the snow. Everyone followed the footprints into the forest, where they found a doctor and saw a pile of bodies. Irina was stunned by the sight. She didn't care about the danger and rushed over to look for her child, but she couldn't find her child's body. As Irina sobbed uncontrollably, a supply drop fell from a helicopter in the sky. On it was written the government's evacuation plan. Everyone thought if Anton was okay, he was evacuated. So they checked location through binoculars and spotted boy. Irina, disregarding, ran over. But when she got on the vehicle, she realized it wasn't Anton. Sergei asked the soldiers if they had seen a boy wearing red clothes. The doctor happened to see this, and at that moment, the soldiers no longer allowed them to leave and forced them onto the evacuation vehicle. Seeing that the other side refused to agree, Boris pulled out his gun to threaten the soldiers, demanding that they be allowed to leave. A confrontation could break out at any moment. Soldiers arrived, Sergei and group faced encirclement. Civilians resisted, drawing guns. They defeated the soldiers. After finding food, the doctor found Sergei and his group, telling them Anton's whereabouts. Irina found her son. After thanking everyone, they continued their escape. But before they got far, Anna started coughing violently, clearly infected. They had to stop. Leona began scheming. Anna was infected, and he didn't want his family dragged in. So after discussing, they decided to head to Lake Vongozero first. As for Anna, on her side, Dr. Pavel revealed his secret. It turned out that when the epidemic first broke out, he had come into contact with many patients. How the other patients died from the infection, leaving only him. He guessed his body developed an antibody membrane. He used his serum to treat Anna. After days, Anna recovered. Leona's family ran into trouble. Marina had severe stomach pains and was about to give birth, but in the wild, no one could help deliver the baby. Leona could only keep reassuring his wife. As a result, he got distracted and the car crashed down the slope. Although the three of them were lucky to survive, Marina lost the baby she was carrying. Her mental state became unstable, and she kept holding the baby's body, refusing to let go. But outside, the temperature was dozens of degrees below zero. If they didn't find shelter by nightfall, they would die out here. With no other choice, Leona had to drag his wife and Paulina into the forest, hoping to find some house. Sure enough, they were lucky. Just as Leona was about to run out of strength, he saw smoke rising ahead and regained spirits. An old woman heard footsteps outside. In these troubled times, she cautiously grabbed her gun, but a step too late. The door to the house was forced open. Leona pointed his gun, but instead of hurting her, he locked the old woman in the basement. Leona took the woman's house, Marina and Paulina a shelter. In the middle of the night, while Marina slept, he took the baby and cremated it. He knew if he didn't, Marina would lose mind. No one realized this decision would bring danger to him. The next morning, Marina woke to find her child missing and began searching everywhere. When she ran outside, a noise from the basement told her the baby was down there and hungry. Marina, having lost reason, ran and opened the basement door. Soon after, a gun woke Paulina. She ran out and locked Paulina in the basement. In the darkness, Paulina discovered her father had been beaten badly and Marina had gone insane. Just like that, her whole family was locked up. They had gone a whole day and night without anything to eat. Dying of thirst, Paulina begged capture. In the end, the old woman threw them a bottle of water, but getting food wasn't going to be that easy. Leona became a slave to the old woman. Every day, she had to chop wood and boil water. All that hard labor was only rewarded with moldy food. But they couldn't escape, only able to remain locked up in the basement. Meanwhile, Anna recovered. Under Sergei's guidance, they continued on their way to Lake Vongozero. On the way, they came across Leona's car with blood all over the ground, but after searching around, they couldn't find anyone. It was getting dark, and if they didn't leave soon, they would freeze to death, so they had no choice but to get in the car. But Misha, who liked Paulina, refused to leave and insisted on finding her. While Sergei and his son were arguing, Misha suddenly had a seizure and passed out. With no other option, they had to put Misha in the car and head to Lake Vongozero. They arrived very quickly. Everyone brought food onto the abandoned ship. As a result, when they boarded the ship, Sergei suddenly noticed that the door had been opened. It was clear someone had gotten there before them. They went inside to check and found signs that someone had been living there. They discovered a corpse in the hold, and the person's leg had been sawed off. Pavel suspected that this might have been stored as food. The person was likely a madman. Not long after, a man returned here, only to be subdued by Sergei. Sergei didn't intend to kill him, but instead forced him to leave. With no other choice, the man had to wrap his companion's corpse and leave the ship under Sergei's threat. He said he escaped prison. There were 10, but with no food, most starved. He survived by resorting to cannibalism. He realized if he left the boat, he would die of hunger or cold outside. He begged Sergei to spare him and join their group. But Sergei couldn't keep such a twisted person around. He didn't notice the man had drawn a knife, making Sergei extremely cautious. Before the man could move, Sergei shot him. Everyone then buried the two bodies and began their struggle for survival. Misha still longed for Paulina. A few days later, despite objections, he took his weapons, drove from Lake Vongozero, and set out to search for her. He returned to the scene of the overturned car and followed the blood trail deep into the forest. He walked from morning until nightfall and finally saw a light ahead. Meanwhile, inside the house, Leona was tied to the bed. The lonely old woman was about to do something to him. Misha unfortunately stepped on an animal trap. He was in excruciating pain, nearly passing out. Seeing that he couldn't get the trap off, Misha gritted his teeth through the pain and used his gun to shoot the chain apart. The gunshot made the old woman wary, but at that moment Leona attacked her and knocked her out with the headboard. After that, Leona went to the window to check and saw someone lying outside. When she realized it was Misha, Leona quickly brought him inside and removed the animal trap from his leg. After treating his wound, Leona learned Misha sneaked out without telling anyone. To regroup, Leona let the old woman outside. They got in the car and headed toward Lake Vongozero. At the same time, Sergei's group was in danger. That night, Misha left without a word, and there was an explosion outside. When they ran outside, they saw a plane crashed. Sergei and the doctor went to check it out, but found nothing. As the two were heading back, suddenly a foreign flight attendant threatened Pavel with a knife. Just by looking at her eyes, they could tell she was infected. It seems the epidemic had already spread across the world. The attacker ordered them to drop their weapons, but of course no one was going to listen to him. While they were struggling, instead of killing Pavel, the person with the scalpel slashed at the attacker's eye. The look in their eyes became uncontrollable. After that, Sergei fired his gun and killed the attacker, temporarily resolving the problem. The next day, Sergei was fishing. Due to yesterday's events, Sergei was cautious and grabbed his gun. As the group got closer, he finally saw clearly that it was Leona's family. They all embraced each other. The two families were finally reunited. Just as everyone thought they were safe, a loud explosion rang out and the ship burst into flames. Everyone panicked and ran toward the ship. The soldiers in the distance also witnessed the scene. A great danger was looming. That concludes the entire first season of the series, Gao Qua to Vongozero Lake. What do you think of this show? Is it good? If I were to give it a 10, how would you rate it? Let us know your answer in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you next time.